Hi, I'm Diane Brady, Assistant Managing Editor at Forbes, and this is Forbes Newsroom. I am here with Jabari Young, Senior Writer, Sports Business, all things sports, not just sports business. Yeah. You had a great story this week, and it's about this Normatec.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well,
Looks
this is
space age.
Yeah, right. It's this great piece of air compression tech. You know that the company Hyperice, they own Normatec now. They came out with it, and they got on my radar in 2020 during the pandemic. And you know, Diane, a quick recap of my career. I covered the San Antonio Spurs for 5 years, and so you see different things in locker rooms as you're traveling.
Some of which cannot be mentioned,
Absolutely,
but some of which become stories later on.
I can tell you later on, but I can't tell the public. But you know, you would always see this tech being worn by players, and I was curious.
Just like a machine. When you say tech, like is it like a
air
big
compression? You know,
right.
So when you think of air compression, you're thinking of a massage just using air,
right?
You know, and you know this is what the legs, right? A lot of NBA players, they rely on their legs for a living, and so you want to keep them fresh, recovering. And so I saw this tech, but I had no indicator. I didn't want to know about it. I was covering the Spurs, right? So here I am years later covering sports business. This piece of tech comes back on my radar, and I'm like, I know what that is.
Yeah.
And it was just a chance to explore. Now, what do you find out when you explore, right? You find out that now they're an $850 million company that's on the rise of possibly becoming a billion company. There's no guarantee.
That's definitely not. You got to extend beyond the NBA to get that kind of.
Absolutely. Well, they have a deal with the NFL, right?
Right.
Something that they struck in 2020 again during the pandemic. And even it didn't start like that, but during the pandemic, they really expanded. And again, it's just a very interesting piece of tech that Hyperice has, and then they add the Normatec line, right? Now, the Normatec line is that piece of air compression that was founded in 1998. And right over in Camden, New Jersey. I'm from Philadelphia, and so when the founders, the CEO of Normatec at that point was telling me that story, it's like, man, that was right there in that hospital, and here you go, this tech is created.
It's almost like, you know, NASA invents something and then the rest of us get to use it. Is this the case because, you know, the weekend warriors with the occasional, you know, sore shins, can they too get a piece of this, or is it just out of their price range?
Here's something phenomenal. When our editor, Bob, you know, my editor was coming up with that headline, I had to go research what Weekend Warriors was too. I had no idea what it was. I'm like, Weekend Warriors, Bob.
Because you're a warrior all the time, right?
I thought he was saying about the Golden State Warriors. I'm like, Bob, they don't have any. They have a deal with the Warriors, but why are you putting
those
that in
aspirational viewers out there who are trying to stay fit, get the occasional injury, and probably reach for like the usual old.
Is that your definition of Weekend Warriors?
Well, not being a weekend warrior myself, I think that's my definition. And so I think, but yet you know, you've got enough money. Maybe you can. I'm stereotyping. Forgive me. Maybe you get the Harley. Maybe you can get the other trappings of your weekend warriordom. Can you afford this? Like, how much does it actually cost?
Well, $399. But the Weekend Warriors part, so people are not lost. That is something. Weekend Warriors are people who do this physical activity that they normally don't do. Right?
Which is, you're more prone to injury that way, too.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's why I've stayed off the basketball court for so many years, because I don't want to be a weekend warrior that thinks I'm a warrior and go out there and I'll become injured. But, you know, with this piece of tech, I might, right? Because it targets with the most fascinating thing that I've learned in writing this article. And again, not a huge deal, right? But it is a new piece of tech that's coming on the market, and I'm interested to see how this makes the company grow. Was that the calf, right? It's your second heart. I had no idea that the calf pumps blood.
The calf is your second heart?
It's your second heart. It pumps blood into the lungs and into the heart, right? And so learning that, it's like, wow, this is... And so what this tech does, the Normatec Go, it basically just massages the calf using that air compression so that, right, blood circulation can be effective, you know, and that prevents blood clots, and blood clots that form in the leg travel up to the lung. I'm always scared of that because I fly a lot, right?
Yeah.
But now that
thrombosis.
Yes, absolutely. And now that this tech is out, I feel like, man, I'm going to use it a lot.
We're not going to see compression socks anymore. We're going to...
We might, you know, there are compression socks that exist. Not air, but the actual compression sock that you put on it holds the calf, like, and it makes it really tight. So when you're flying, I learned that in the NBA locker room too, right? And I got a pair.
Well, is it as high tech? I mean, I don't get to go into a lot of locker rooms. Has it changed a lot? You know, in terms of the evolution of just the quality of equipment, because that sounds more like something I would see in a walk-in medical clinic than I would in the average sports locker
Well,
room.
the tech is nothing new. It's just that they've created it small enough where it can travel outside of the medical rooms, right? Because most of that tech is tied to the
portable
beds.
MRIs.
Yeah, right. Now you can travel outside. I mean, this is the evolution of where we're coming technology. We're able to take these things that, again, we normally wouldn't use unless we're in a hospital. Nobody wants to be there. And we're able to use them at home now. And so, I think it's just a piece of interesting, tech in this new sector of performance, right, and recovery, right, with all of this new stuff coming on the market, the things that we see multi-million-dollar NBA athletes or NFL athletes using, now the general consumer can use. Now, to answer your question about $399, that's the only issue when I'm writing this article that I see that could possibly pose a challenge to this, tech being rolled out the way that I'm sure High Price would want, right? Are you going to pay $399 when gas is still there? Now, it's come down, but that's just a big price.
If it lasts a while, right? You'll see.
Yeah.
But speaking of high price
Yeah.
athletes, I'd be remiss not to kind of look at this, the seasonality. And can you give us a bit of a preview with the NFL? Because, I know you've been looking at that as well in terms of less the athletes and more just the
business
of it, the rights. And
well, one of the deals me and you were talking about off camera was that, listen, everybody's paying attention to the Sunday ticket deal, right? Amazon, who's going to get it? Amazon, Apple. A very important deal to pay attention to, but I also think
does it matter to the rest of us that much? I mean, it matters to them.
It matters to them, and I think the general consumer will catch up to eventually. Wherever football is, people will find it because this country. They love pro football. They love college football.
Yep.
So wherever it is, they'll find it. The media is how they do it, right? We'll just go and Amazon did this big rollout of what they're doing, and we had 5 different organizations that write about it, and I just wanted to go see it to see what it is from a fan's perspective, so I'll know how to navigate it. But getting back to your original question about the NFL is one of the deals that I know I'm curious about and still paying attention to is the halftime rights deal, right? I followed this when the NFL first put that.
Pepsi had it.
Pepsi pulled out, right? And it's going to
too
open up in the market.
expensive. Why did they pull out?
I don't think it's too expensive. I think that if you're Pepsi, that brand, that Super Bowl brand, it probably is gone as far as it's going to go. Now they're still a major partner.
At this,
Yeah, they're still a major partner, but I don't think Pepsi needs that, right? What company does need this is going to be the curious thing. I want to see who signs on to that. I don't have enough to throw out some names, right? Because I don't want the speculation to rise, but I just want to see who gets it. If it's an older company, what are they looking for? Are they looking for renewed interest in their product, right? Something that older companies usually do, or is it a new company? We know cryptocurrency is not available yet because the NFL is not allowing it, but is it a blockchain, right?
Yep.
They are allowing that. So I'm curious to see who wants that asset. Because it's $25 to $50 million, that's how much you're paying for per year.
Well, I mean, and I always think the Super Bowl is sort of where you get those fleeting moments in time.
It's the Mecca.
Gerbils kind of flying out of, But let me get back a second to the NFL, which is because with professional sports was always supposed to be what would keep us really attached to our big cable packages, right? Because live sports, that's still destination viewing. Is that generally shifting a lot because we're seeing a lot of cord cutting, we can all do our streaming services. As some of these deals migrate over to these other players, I don't know, and maybe I'm getting you out of your comfort zone here, but do you think the discussions changed? Because even just a few years ago, I felt like that was what was going to save cable.
Yeah. Well, first, you're never out of my comfort zone, right? Sports business is the zone. I'm in it.
We're going to call it the Forbes zone.
Yeah, the Forbes zone, right? It's an evolution that you pay attention to, right? Predicting where things are going to go it'll be useless.
Yeah.
But I look at things and I look at my 8-year-old. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I see the way she consumes TV. It's not through cable. I don't think my daughter knows what cable. I think she remembers what it is because at one point she had it, but I don't think she remembers what it was. She's so on the apps now, right?
Yeah.
She's 8 years old. Eventually, Diane, she's going to be 38 like I am and 26 like you are, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's absolutely,
discovering technology for the first time.
There you go. Absolutely. And so this is the consumer that the NFL, all sports leagues have to pay attention to. This is the way they're going to consume the product. I don't think cable's going to completely go away because the infrastructure is not there yet. You got to rewiring the company, or the country, I should say, is a big task. That doesn't come overnight. And so while you're going through that phase, right, you'll have those people, but it'll go over, right? I have a grandmother, right, a grandmother-in-law, and when I see her, she'll say things like, "And I canceled cable. It's wonderful." And it's like when they find out that life exists without a cable, it's fascinating from a human being perspective because I'm like, you know what? It's happening, right?
Yeah.
But I still think it'll go back and forth. I don't think cable's dead. I don't think it's at that point yet. But I think that the way technology is evolving, the way the consumer and the young consumer especially are picking up new ways of consuming and habits and ways of their gateway is different to enter these leagues. At that point, I think you'll start to see a shift in things. And then at that point, Amazons, the Apples of the world, they should be completely ready to take over should the broadcast networks fall out.
Yeah, well, it's a huge coup, right? That will
Not
be...
anytime soon, though. I don't think so. Disney and Fox and they got too much money tied into these leagues because it's the last big thing that's holding up TV. People tune into live sports. I could watch a show anytime, but I can't watch live sports anytime.
So tennis.
Yeah.
Let's just, I got, because I am a tennis fan and I know that you have covered this. You covered Serena. Give me some sense. I'm even curious about Naomi Osaka and just this new generation of players coming up that have a very different relationship, it seems, with the ecosystem around them. Not with the game, but with the endorsements, the press, maybe dipping in and out a little bit. We saw. Can you give me some sense of what the chatter is just for the U.S. Open?
Well, listen, I think the name you mentioned earlier is the chatter, Serena Williams, right? I mean,
the goodbye tour.
Yeah, it could very well be. I find it funny. Like, I don't recall her, and I could be wrong, but I don't recall her using the word retirement to say it. Like, I think she just wants to step away. But if
nobody
it is,
likes your post-professional phase.
Yeah, it's hard to let go of the game. Remember, these are athletes. They've been doing this since they were young, so it's hard to let go of something that got them to the level they're at. Still, I think that's what everybody's treating this as, right? You're treating this as, this is the last time we may be able to see Serena Williams. And listen, I'll be over there for a few days. I'm looking forward to it. I'm interested to see the profit. I don't know if I'll find out, but exactly what the U.S. Open is going to make from this type of crowd. And listen, this is the second year that we're kind of back open again, right? Has things changed? So Serena saying goodbye to her is one thing, but I also want to see how people interact with each other now that we're back open at events like this again, because that new norm, right, that new way of consuming, that new way of interacting, I want to see how far that's continuing to go as we kind of see what this new evolution of sports is.
Great. Yeah. Jabari Young, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me, and I'm sorry for using your studio.
Mi casa, su casa, is that it?
You.
My studio is your studio.
Thank you.
Good to see you.